LCK teams still finishing top of their groups. Like, the LCK is historically known for dominating the world's group stage, and a lot of that comes from just clean, disciplined gameplay. Normally, when teams come onto the big main stage, you play a little bit more reserved, you show more respect, and that actually plays into the style that many LCK teams actually thrive and find a lot of success with. They also have a lot of talented players. In particular, you just look at this Gen G roster, and this is the same roster that was at Worlds last year. This is the same roster that you just identify internationally. Like, it is a well-known player base, and I think that you have to always show respect.
I mean, the player I'm going to give a lot of respect to is Ruler. He has spent literally his entire pro career on Gen G, aka KSC, aka Samsung Galaxy. Like, they've just rebranded constantly over the course of it. Ruler's entire career has been there. And for that entire career, he's been like top 4 AD carries in the world, if not #1 at some cases, like when he won the World Championship back in the day. So he is always a player to give respect to, and it really means that we're expecting Gen G to be a very, very bot-focused team. It's gonna be about Ruler. He's the man to watch. On the other side, it means that we are expecting the Ale show. We're expecting LNG to be focused around top.
Ha Yumi ban!
Not first picked.
I just was reminded, Freak, of the fact that Vedius owes us dinner.
Oh, yeah.
Or at least me.
I said
yes,
I was in.
I
we
owe
both
you
won.
dinner, yes. But I'm sure I'll find some clever wager to get it back. In any case, the Lee Sin priority is going to come through for LNG. You imagine this is going to go into the hands of Tarzan, a very capable and well-respected jungler, pretty much throughout the entire world. Some even consider him the best jungler, depending on who you ask. As Gen G answer with Renekton. I mean, I feel like he's been gutted enough that he really shouldn't be a blind pick, but we know that it is a comfort pick for Rascal, that's for sure.
And they at least gave him back, you know, reducing the animation when you're in power W stun, and gave him back because the nerfs, like you're saying, hit him really hard. So at least got buffed back to a decent amount. I wanted to touch on your Tarzan point, though, because I really love that, and I specifically looked into, when we were arguing about top lane, the fact that a lot of people are talking about Ale, oh, but he requires so many resources. Tarzan actually has below average top lane jungle proximity for the LPL, not spending as much time even as the average, you know, 10% or whatever for LPL junglers up there. Ale does a lot on his own.
You compare that to someone like a Xiao who has like 14 to 50% jungle proximity. To give a little bit more context, like, you're right in that saying, like, sure, Ale does get resources, but what Tarzan does on the map is actually just, he's very efficient with his ganks. He knows when he's going to get something off the back of it, and he's very successful at doing that. So very excited to see him, especially with the Lee Sin on his hands paired up with the Gwen up towards the top side, meaning that Ale and Tarzan already have a very strong top jungle.
And that's the matchup I was wanting to highlight, is the fact that you're going for a different kind of a look. Once the Gwen took the early game E attack speed nerfs, she's not much of a lane bully. She scales incredibly well. I think she is probably the best top laner win condition of top laner win conditions. She will just carry a game from 3 items onward. The question is, can you get there? And if Rascal's never getting any help, then yeah, you can trade farm with Renekton and then go get to 3 items and single-handedly win a game.
And I have also liked this champion when we transition towards some of these team fights, when your most popular AD carry is Misfortune in this meta, and you can just W and not have to worry about the giant Misfortune ultimate coming over the top of your head. Feels so nice.
I will say, though, that Gen G have drafted themselves a pretty strong top side as well. Renekton and Xin Zhao, I don't think anyone really wants to meet that 2 versus 2 in a top lane, so I wouldn't be surprised to see both Clid and Tarzan making their way towards top, unless Ale looks to play a little bit more on the weaker side in the early laning phase. We'll have to wait and see. For now, with the Taliyah ban, I wonder if that's...
Xin Zhao was going elsewhere. Taliyah mid is playable as well.
Taliyah's support is also something I've seen a little bit in solo queue, but in any case...
BDD was something I looked up his career all-time stats, has 3rd most played as Taliyah mid, so...
That's also fair.
Could be flexible there for mid lane. I was hoping that we'd actually see more flex between jungle and mid lane champions with you know, all the talents and Zens and stuff, but Taliyah is definitely one too.
Yeah, I think Taliyah would make sense there. To me, I don't like Taliyah's support with an MF. I don't think your setup is quite good enough. You know, Phyllis the purple gun is like kind of okay, but you're looking at something more like a Pantheon or a Swain where you're actually CC comboing. So maybe not there. Rakan could mean some more aggression, though. I mean, realistically, like, this is a squishy composition, but with some go buttons.
It definitely got some go buttons, and into the Misfortune Leona. Definitely bold here from the side of LNG. I'm here to see it, though, from Liflum, Light, and Iwandi. If they supplement that with something like a Twisted Fate, it would make a lot more sense as trying to play the aggressive edge of it. Sylas has been so popular here and definitely blind pickable for Icon though.
Good number of ultimates to steal as well. The Leona one in particular offers another follow-up engage after the Rakan, and I think that's one of the most important things about Rakan, because he's so fast and he can quickly set up a play. You need to be ready to follow up. And I think champions like Lee Sin can do that, but also if you have that additional Leona ultimate stolen away, then it's definitely a big threat. Could this be BDD's comfort pick in the form of Zoe? Obviously a lot of damage. I don't think the composition in and of itself offers a huge amount of poke, but it will give you mid-prio, which then better sets you up for Xin Zhao, giving you a very powerful top side of the map for Gen G.
Zoe is actually one of my favorite answers into Sylas because the ult is so poor to steal away. Plus you outrange and you have a lot of options for picks later with Sleepy Trouble Bubble and so much of a range advantage. But like you guys already pointed out, there are other ultimates on the team already in place that are profitable for Icon to steal. That being said, yeah, the Zoe for BDD, it's right there under the Azir as far as most iconic champions for him, so definitely will be comfort on top of it being quite nice in the matchup.
You mentioned the range difference. It's worth pointing out that people consider Sylas a big sustained champion, but you must hit W on an enemy champion to get the heal, and Zoe doesn't ever want to play in that range. If you ever go for the obvious, dash in E forwards, you're gonna get a bubble in the face.
Yeah, a lot of matchups for Sylas are him trading health for minion push early on and then trying to use your teleport to get it back. But against Zoe, it's one of the more difficult ones because you don't get as much back.
And I think one of the biggest things about Zoe is she's going to be offering Gen G this mid lane prio. I look at also this Renekton early game, top lane prio. Bot lane, I think that in the Misfortune Leona, maybe level 1, it may be a little bit hard to get that lane prio just because of that extra range that Aphelios does have. But I can see like a lot of winning lanes here for Gen G, giving their jungle a lot of agency, and a Xin Zhao that's able to get off or get going very early into the game. The question is, will Gen G actually leverage some of this early aggression that they do actually have at their disposal?
And they're also going to have to worry about getting outscaled. This is one of the rare, actually, champion selects where it's Gen G being the ones like, oh man, we're facing Gwen, Sylas, Aphelios, mega scaling champions on the opponent team. Definitely going to be in the back of your mind about making use of some of the early prio that you've drafted for yourself. So need to see that early and effective coordination from Gen G to actually find value out of it. For first topside move, doesn't find anyone, so it's just going to be the early ward.
Yep, make sure you tell us what you feel about the game. Verizon 5G all chat, hit us up, let us know. Do you have opinions? Do you have celebrations you want to provide? Any of the above, I'm happy to share the mic just a little bit and say what you all want to say online. Just be smart.
Throw in a pun there. If it's good enough to make it past the social team and make it up here, Freak is going to be a very, very happy person.
I'll give you props if it's good. I'll give you props if it's bad.
He will flame you 90% of the time, though.
Yeah.
Have no disillusion.
If it's a low effort pun, like live on air, it can be tough. But if you have time to sit there and write it, there's no excuse.
So just a very quick small story. I will never forget, I think it was 2017 or 2018 Worlds when Medic and Freak were sat in a room together.
Ooh, yes.
It was one of the worst experiences.
It was one of the best experiences of my life.
Because they're basically the same person when it comes to coming up with really bad jokes.
Yes.
And so I'm very grateful that they're not in the studio together today. Yeah.
It also has a multiplicative effect.
It really does.
Because one of them does one and then the other one's brain lights up. They're like, woo!
It's an experience, that's for sure. In any case, let's talk about junglers, because we already talked about how Tarzan is very recognized as one of the best junglers in the world, and he earns a lot of respect. But back when Clid was playing on T1 and Tarzan was playing on Griffin, it was actually Clid that was often getting the better of Tarzan. It was actually T1 that was often coming out on top. And I think that historically, it is Clid that has been able to find Tarzan's number. But we'll see if he can do the same thing today. As we talked about, he has a lot of priority. Right now, it looks like that he's pathing towards the bot side of the map, doing a full clear up towards top. Meanwhile, Tarzan has done his red into Raptors, and it's actually now going up to Gromp. So perhaps Tarzan is expecting Xin Zhao to be pathing up towards the top side of the map, and they may very well end up running into each other towards the bot side, but we'll see as the junglers continue.
Yeah, well, as a jungler, you're taking into account from Champion Select about your early pathing towards your Gwen that has Ignite. So all I think with Summoner spell choice, you know, taking Ignite here and being able to play the early level 1 versus Renekton very aggressively. Because you have the added effectiveness of your all-in of the Ignite damage, you can afford to bully Renekton off the wave. And this is one of the openings versus Renekton that a lot of people like to take advantage of. Level 1, it's not nearly as scary you know, as the rest of your early lane phases for Renekton, and you kind of deny him the Fury threat build-up if you can play super aggressively right off the bat. So pathing up towards top side to your flashless Gwen makes so much sense in allowing him to play the lane the way he wants to.
Interesting choice here. Tarzan went for a very top lane safe path. It was Red Raptor's Gromp, late blue, and then covered top as the tower crash came in, because the level 1 didn't allow them a deep ward, so they couldn't track Clid. They didn't know if Clid was going to go for a, you know, punish the level 3 top lane dive play. So ended up kind of skipping a camp. Like, now he's on Wolves, now he's on his way down. But generally speaking, I think Clid has, you know, a bit better jungle pacing based on the fact that Tarzan kind of play a pretty safe line.
Yeah, I think you summarized it really nicely, Kobe, and like we talked a lot about it in draft. I was concerned because I think that early on Renekton can get this priority, but thanks to this Ignite and thanks to the way in which Ale is playing it, he has actually done very well. And you can see now that that wave is starting to bounce back towards Gen.G. Do have information as to where Tarzan is. This could be an opportunity for a top lane dive. This is a huge stacking wave. We can see that Icon has just gone back to base, and this could be a window where BDD actually looks to roam up towards top, and Clid could look to move with him. But I think that wave is going to crash into the tower a little too early, which means that a dive seems unlikely to happen.
Looks like it's going to be all right. Obviously, Clid is on the way to that side because his you know, stuff's coming back up. And actually, they are going to go for the play. BDD takes a shot and goes for the TP play. Ale level 4 right now, and they're all in range of it. He's going to fall asleep, gets a bit of damage, and goes down. Rascal saves his life, and Gen.G find a first blood top lane.
So I spoke too soon. We talked about the potential play, but BDD leveraged the TP advantage he had over Icon, and they were able to get an early kill onto Ale.
That was such an insanely intelligent move from Gen.G, from BDD specifically, to use his teleport up there, put Ale to sleep, put Ale in the dirt in the early game. They had done so much to get this Gwen a really good early lane phase. And yet, with the timing, with the information, seeing on the recall timer there and the deep ward on Krugs, they account for every member. So they know there is not that danger of the collapse, of the answer for the top side teleport dive there. Just really well done accounting for all your answers from your opponent, and BDD showing some class here, helping out Rascal on the top side, making that effective dive work out right before being able to reset.
I mean, I also have to give so much credit to BDD because he forced Icon out of lane at level 4, right? He forced his HP pots low, he forced him to go back to base, and he forced him to use his TP early, and because of how well he played that 1v1, it gave him that window to leverage the stacked wave up top and then TP and get a really effective punish. So huge props to BDD. First game at Worlds, looking very good.
Exactly. It's the two things you're accounting for. I push my mid laner out, get their teleport, and with our deep ward on Krugs, we see the enemy jungler. So all variables have been eliminated, and Gen.G on top of it pick up Dragon number 1.
700 gold lead, more than just the first blood there. You've got bot lane pressure, 7 CS lead for Ruler. Recall actually got to be a bit better as well since he got the serrated Dirk instead of what came on the other side. So yeah, that's going to be a nice power spike and it feel good to keep the lane pressure going. And the Make It Rain poke has just like worked pretty well. Light and Iwandi just kind of stuck on a turret the whole time, giving the ability to help Clid constantly. They got the first dragon really early on as a result of that one. Get rid of the ward, and yeah, they can start pressuring a fair bit. Now Life, though, in somewhat of a 1v3, Clid may not be able to easily help, but nah, bot lane pressure's coming in. They can maybe kind of mess with Tarzan a little bit there, and we'll see if he loses any of the small Krugs. That's where most of the gold is.
BDD also getting early move from mid, got the push in. This should be consistent for Zoe, again, especially the early matchup versus Sylas. Range advantage, able to poke him out. You can't get a lot of extra sustain there. And you see no further potions or sustain for Icon. So BDD will remain in control of mid lane.
Auto! Wow, nicely done. BDD sets it off so beautifully. Use the Stride Breaker slow to land them up at the last second and just works in so much damage.
The entirety of the beginning of this game is encapsulated in the BDD diff.
Yes, it is. It really is. This man is having a great game one at Worlds, and there were a lot of question marks around what Gen.G would look like. The footage of them the last time they played was not inspiring. We know that a lot of LCK fans are like, well, we believe in T1, we believe in Dam1, not so sure on the other two, but so far the other two have come out swinging as BDD really is showing the difference in mid lane as he finds himself a solo kill on 2 Icon.
Yeah, just really well done from the early setup as well. Has the ultimates go in to finish him off. But when people always talk about the consistency and this team delivering, it is Ruler and BDD, the 2 carries, that are always referenced. Him landing another bubble here should result in another big chunk.
And Icon hasn't gone for the Merc Treads yet. Could have promoted it, but went for ability power, which will give him more healing, but hasn't gone for the early defensive option that so many mages will do against a Zoe or a Syndra, where it's just so reliable. And now has to be respectful, lands a stun, gets the heal, but he's asleep. Minions are in the way, Rocket Belt helps, auto attack is gonna get it again!
Oh,
Icon, you gotta pay better respect, where's the MR?
All right, there's a lot of fun you can have with creating nicknames for BDD off of his acronym, and I think a lot of them will be applicable here. He is smashing this game. It actually results in such a free objective as well. With the roam topside, getting Rascal ahead, then multiple solo kills mid, and having roam threat. It is an easy Rift Herald pickup. They already got the first dragon. It is just complete mid difference.
It's one of the rare times where we actually see this in pro play, because like Chovy is a great example of someone that doesn't necessarily kill you a lot, but he puts a lot of pressure down, he gets a lot of CS advantages, but the fact that BDD is just solo killed Icon twice within what, 2-3 minutes of each kill is just, the gap in mid is massive.
This is why in Champ Select we hit both points of it's a good matchup into Sylas, and it is BDD piloting the Zoe.
Yeah, and the fact not only is he solo killing twice, he's TP'd out of his lane to kill someone else.
That's true. Yeah.
And then still solo kill. And look at the assist in that one. It's not like he got the 400 gold and snowballed that himself. It's like, nah, he's just completely better. This game is entirely mid-diff.
All right, let's rein it back in here because there are scaling outs later for LNG. As we mentioned multiple times throughout this game, throughout the Champ Select. So Ale there on top side, farming up quite nicely on the Gwen. Bottom side has also been a bit of exchange of pushes, but Tarzan actually making him move mid.
Icon really needed that stun to set it up. That might have been enough to punish BDD, maybe force a flash, but not going to matter. You know, tries to heal back up with a W. This time he will dodge the sleepy bubble and will dodge the paddle star. And he's able to get the cannon, so it's not too bad. I want to check it on bot lane because it's worth pointing out this game is only 300 gold apart, despite the huge mid difference. Well, actually, Light and Iwandi are farming really well down there. Light's actually up in farm. Despite all the bot lane pressure, it's 3 plates to nothing. Like, they're doing great.
Yeah, I will say that Genji, while BDD has been getting a bunch of kills, they're not snowballing off of this, right? They're not like moving him down to create like 4-man dives.
He's snowballing himself.
Yeah, exactly.
The ball
That's the thing.
is in mid lane, and he's just throwing it at Icon's face over and over.
Exactly. But this is also something that I spoke with Atlas about last night, and he was talking to me about how Genji just have a lot of really good players across the boards, and sometimes they're able to do this. The question is, how well do they convert it? Now, good kick from Tarzan.
You follow, good kill, wow.
I mean, Tarzan has no extra information on, Rascal has no information on Tarzan's whereabouts. That was a very, very, very aggressive move from Rascal between turrets, trading over there with 0 wards, 0 vision, punished appropriately by Tarzan.
Yep.
You know, kind of right into his hands, and it does result in, yeah, their jungler topside, so Genji can get this dragon, but that is money that you do not want to give over. That is money into the Gwen's hands, which, as you mentioned, Freak can still, despite the early nerfs, build into late game monster.
She's equal farm. Like, as much as she got killed, and it was a nice play by BDD to teleport over with the crash the minion wave, it's 100 CS apiece, and now, I mean, also to get 1 plate, maybe a second. Like, this is not only a 300 gold kill, but 300 gold from turret plates. Like, that is a 600 gold fail.
It's pretty crazy how LNG is still staying very relevant in this game because of how big the mid gap really has been. Genji, they typically are known for playing a relatively slow early game, and while their laners can, you know, perform very well, and we can often see them find these type of advantages, it's a matter of how well they're snowballing. And so sometimes, you know, when you talk about scaling, oh, hang on.
Yep, gonna find ourselves a little bit of fight down in the mid lane. Icon gonna be the target, takes a bit of punishment, but will stay alive for now as Arle's into the battle. is immune to bullet time, thank you very much, but BDD able to get inside that circle and get the damage across, and there's plates 3 and 4 dropped off a mid. Will they hit the rest of the turret is the question. It's pretty tanky, but they're putting the damage in. Herald is gone, they're forced to walk backwards. Turret still very, very low. Iwandi's got to be careful. Oh, that shield from Tarzan saves his life.
Yeah, good collapse here around mid. Gen.G need to play off of BDD's success, so everybody group around him, pop that Rift Trail towards mid, get the mid tower. This is one of the biggest bonuses you can get as a Zoe. Not only is he fed early on in the game, but the biggest scary point for this champion is when you make Ludens and you have all of these walls to go look for your picks now. This vision basically just blooms out of mid lane now for Gen.G, and BDD gets to roam up to either side of the map, as well as looking for these bubbles through the jungle, try and pick off LNG members within rotations.
Admittedly, so this was one of Ender's favorite points. The fire map, or the infernal map, is actually like a bit of a nerf to Zoe because of the walls that it does actually remove in the jungle, whereas the mountain one is actually a small buff because of the Vaughn. So there is that small factor, but you are right. The moment she has that first item, she's going to start looking for more of these picks. And speaking of picks, LNG have their eyes set on the top lane.
Here we go. They might set it up. Rascal, though, has his ulti, has flash, has the ability to stun. It might make it difficult, but we're looking at a 4v3 over here. Turret plates are gone, so even if they just go for the turret, it'll die pretty rapidly. And we are, you know, clearly into mid-game with the plates down, so the damage could be there, but it's going to be LNG calling it off. Clid walked over in time. Ruler was on the way as well, so no dive.
Yeah, that stalemate is actually very good for Gen.G because they have BDD on bottom side. He actually got a turret plate off just before they fell away, so he picks up the turret plate money. Then also gets solo tower gold. That's going to be his Luden. We are living the scary point that I just mentioned.
Right.
Luden's complete for BDD on the Zoe. There it is, and now he gets to go look for those picks.
And now he's already reset, and now he's going to make his way back out onto the map, which means that Gen.G are going to have a window where they have a little bit more control over the map than LNG do. They're going to need to reset first, and it looks like the Gen.G is just going to continue to farm this into BDD's pockets. Level 11 right now, matching Ale in terms of experience, as the Rift Maker is going to come through for him. And I'm looking at this next Drake. It will put Gen.G at soul point if they're able to secure it. TP is available for both of them. It looks like LNG's TPs will not be available, which means that BDD being in this position could actually make things very complex for LNG, because they're going to have to sacrifice something, whether it be the third Drake or perhaps this top tower, in order to gain control around that objective.
And right now, just wave clear. We're waiting around for a little bit longer, but we do have the third dragon coming up in just over a minute. Gen.G, we'll see if they can keep that bot lane control and make that one happen. Of course, mythics are done for both AD carries. We see the MF going for the safer option of Eclipse Rush. We had seen Youmuu's Rush earlier in the day. The more aggressive version. It's such a stat-efficient item. It's, you know, the reason people do it. But BDD right now is topside. Teleport is up. Rascal in the same boat. Ollie doesn't have his icon neither, so map control belongs to Gen.G, and they're going to get themselves the Herald off that as well. So undefeated in Heralds, undefeated in Dragons, and this Lee Sin's going to be fine.
Yeah, mid control does a lot for your objective game, Freak.
It does.
And Gen.G with the clean sweep of the neutrals should be able to continue it as well. Down bottom, yeah, Ale can push in, but they got the Rift Herald so quickly that it's going to be an immediate reset there for the rest of the members for Gen.G, and they can return to clearing out all of this vision and open up those roaming options.
Getting rid of the vision. Clid trying to, you know, go sneaky like, right? Let life kill the ward, then I walk in once it's dark. Maybe you don't know I'm here, I can find something, but just see the Raptors going down, nothing to be had.
LNG is going to give up the dragon. You can tell from their commitment. Tarzan goes top. They say, we cannot fight a team fight. I agree, they cannot. And so they have evasive maneuvers on bottom side. Ale can just get out. He's going to have to lose this turret. And it's actually probably going to get another charge onto the inhibitor turret. This is going to be big damage from Gen.G. You try and just give up the dragon, but they're going to take...
Oh, just barely able to immune Life's E. That's a huge deal. Now here comes the rest of the combo as the bot lane shows up for defense, and this might be pretty good. Clid nearly dead, but his ulti keeps him alive. Light can't quite find the kill. But that Herald charge, you called it, Kobe, it's going to land.
Ale healed so much from his ultimate right there. I thought that he was dead and gone, but we saw double Gore Drinker into Ale's ultimate, and it was just like HP bars going down, up, down, up, down, up.
It was actually unfortunate for them that they had already previously committed to a topside tower take with Tarzan up there, so they couldn't follow up on that big play. It might have been an opportunity had they actually had the numbers to follow up on it. But it does still result in the double objective for Gen G, your Dragon plus your bottom charge and turret.
A couple of flashes did end up getting burnt as a result of that as well. Iwandi's not going to have that flash ult engage, and Cleared and Rascal may be in a little bit more danger. But for now, Gen G, they can just chill because they're at Soul Point. They know that they don't really have to fight for anything until the next Drake spawns. And in the meantime, they can just continue to build this gold advantage and look to get that second item.
It means we really care about these next 5 minutes as the inflection point of this game because we are still scaling, and the gold difference is not too big. 1,700 is certainly not insurmountable. 3 daggers to 0, 1,700, yes, that's obviously a lead for Gen G. They are winning this game, but, you know, I'd put it at best 70-30. I will battle you any day of the week, just like LNG will battle Renekton any day of the week. See, that's the kind of flow you got to go for.
Well, I'm going to just accept that burn for now. I need time to think, so probably going to have Dracos to come up with one for me.
Yeah, we would never freeze round. We'd forfeit instantly.
But let's have a look. Gen G, they have control over the top side. LNG are making the cross map happen, but because they have the numbers advantage and a wave stacking, they will be able to trade this for the tier 2 tower. So this is something I wanted to talk to you about too, Kobe, because you talked about having the mid prio in order to contest for the Drake. Bot prio is obviously another way in which you can get in, and by securing these 2 towers, they now have a much longer lane, which gives them more access into that river, so more ways to be able to contest the potential 4th Drake that they will need to find a way to get into.
Yeah, it definitely does give you a route, and they've left a lot of deep wards there, but it comes at a very high price.
Yes.
With Gen G pushing down, they took mid tower, opening the map even further, and 50% of top tower as well, right before. So definitely a big price for them to pay, but these wards that you see on screen now during the duel are going to have a lasting effect, because when you have those super deep wards, then you have the safety for when you want to move in a minute later to prepare for yourself and place your next line.
3 minutes and counting. That is all I'm going to be focused on, is the timer until this Dragon Soul comes up. Obviously, in 30, we have the chance at a Baron, so that adds a bit more spice to the map, though it would be tough to rush down. Ruler is not on a single-target DPS build. The rest of his team aren't really single-target DPS champions, so it seems very unlikely to succeed at a Baron sneak. But Iwandi knows he needs to cross his T's, dot his I's, and more to the back of the pit to make sure nothing happens.
I always love pointing this out because I just think it is kind of a BS interaction, but when you fall asleep from a Zoe bubble and Misfortune channels ult over the top of your head,
Oh, yeah.
Right, yep.
you're going to die in your sleep. Guess what? It's like coded as a damage over time, so even though you're literally getting rained down upon with bullets, you just fall asleep and you take all of the damage and you don't wake up. So maybe we see that as a form of pickoff and follow-up.
Okay.
I always like that combination.
Looking maybe he steals the Leona ult and forces the retreat, and we're just buying time and waiting. We're waiting for the recalls. The important thing for me in my head is how much gold does Ale have? He hasn't bought in a while. Like, is he close to Nashor's Tooth? Does he have to have his team buy time before he can get it? Blue buff attempt going on. Who's going to get the burst? Q goes forward. Nice job, Rascal. Not only got the big wolf earlier, but gets the blue buff now as well. Big stun comes across. There's the sleep. There's the walkway. Just barely surviving. And Icon still holding on to the Leona ult.
So this is a window where Gen G could, if they wanted to, threaten a Baron. They're doing so much poke damage, and Icon does not have TP, that if they really wanted to put some pressure on LNG, they could start it off to, at the very least, force a fight. The only reason why I think that they should move away from that idea is because Ruler and Life have already used their ultimates, which are so crucial to the team fight. So for now, they're just going to be happy with forcing LNG back. Gen G's going to get a reset, and with the Drake spawning in about 1 minute and 15 seconds, this will be the objective that they look to set up for.
And your eye is always on that timer as Gen G. The reason they are very liberally using those ultimates for this pick is because they have over 1.5 minutes before the Dragon fight comes up. So they're like, yeah, all right, this Zoe bubble lands, let's go for it. You know, throw down the Leona ultimate, throw down the Misfortune ultimate. The Misfortune one a little bit longer, so it's going to be kind of close as far as the cooldown for this Dragon fight, but we'll be quite close.
The important thing is Nashor's was completed off of Ale's recall, so he's got a 2-item power spike. Both AD carries 2-item power spike. Supports in the same mythic spot. but BDD is up a legendary, so overall pretty similar. And now that Rascal has his Sterix Gauge, he can frontline.
So you can see what we were talking about earlier. Gen G have immediate access over the river, and it's very hard for LNG to actually make their way in. So they need to control bot, and I like this movement from them now because they know they have a wave there. Arley can push this one out, and this is how they get into the river. The thing that they have to be most cautious about is this Zoe, which right now they have no vision of, and is the most terrifying part.
And so it's Wandy, the one who face checks, right? Because he knows he can jump back to his team and stay alive. So there's the first attempt. It's going to find Icon. He's able to get pretty far backwards. And okay, that is them surviving the first sleep. Now we go for this Dragon play. The smite, if it goes to Gen G, is going to be a huge deal. Second Paddle Star going to miss. Second Bubble going to miss now as well. This is going to give a bit of control now to LNG. They can start to walk forward. A slow comes in. MF Volt ready for Icon. Wensi channel right now. Smite fight might come soon. Stun's going to cross and dismantle it. And Smite comes in for Kled. That is the Dragon Soul. That is Iwandi going down. That is LNG almost unwilling to fight. And now it's going to be a little bit too little too late. 3 kills picked up already. They chose their moment, but the moment was too late. And Gen G wipe LNG off the map.
GG! We got our inflection point. The soul fight is convincingly a smash by Gen G. LNG started, but Tarzan outside of the pit, he gets screened out. They wait out the bullet time. Absolute domination from Gen G.
Gonna win the game in 24 minutes. It started with mid priority. It ended with all of the neutral objectives going exactly one way. They dropped a single kill on their way to a 23-35 win over LNG.
Take a bow, BDD. BDD ZOE, definitely a painful one. That, the Azir, these are the things you think of with iconic plays from this champion. Absolutely dominated Icon himself multiple times in lane and opened up and created that snowball. Definitely hit home by the rest of the team, but mid priority giving access to all of these neutral objectives allows them such a clean way to end out this game.
And I think that we didn't even see a different Gen G. I think that we actually saw a very standard, they approach the game how they want to. We saw the individuals level up. We saw them play a patient game. For the first 20 minutes, there were 4 kills in total. But the moment that they